Hello, along with the written portion of the email, we thought it might be helpful if you had a verbal explanation of some of the things that we're going to be collecting from you this spring, as well as an idea of how this all fits into the big picture regarding your SLO. So keep in mind that the first thing that needs to happen this spring is we need to make sure that your assessment gets approved. And so that's what we're taking care of doing right now. You're going to, once it gets approved, you'll give that pre-test in August to your students. You'll want to give it as early as possible in the school year so that you can show the most growth. So we want to make sure that you all leave here this year with a pre-test that's been approved by the SLO committee. The rest of the SLO template won't be completed until the fall of next year, probably in September. So there's only a few portions that need to be done for this school year. So on the SLO template, which is attached to the email, you'll want to make sure that you get that top part that's shaded in blue all completed. That's pretty easy. Your name, content area, grade level, academic year, and then those other three portions that are bracketed, that's what you're going to want to make sure that you have turned in by May 12th. You're welcome to turn it in sooner. In fact, it might not be a bad idea should there be any issues with it, but that's what definitely needs to be submitted by May 12th. Let's look at each one of those sections a little bit more in detail. So you want to make sure that you get that interval of instruction typed into the SLO template. That's going to match the entire length of the course. So you'll want to explain in a narrative, what is the first day of school, when does the course end, how frequently the course meets, is it once a day for the semester, is it once a week for the school year, about how long a typical class period lasts, and any other important information about the interval of your course, the time of instruction that might impact student growth. The next portion of the template that's important to get completed is the standards and content portion. And you can literally copy and paste some of your standards and contents into this portion of the SLO. Not all of your standards and content, because the SLO isn't going to cover all of them. It's only going to cover the big ideas, the most important parts of your content. These might come right from the Common Core State Standards. They might come from your board-adopted course of study. They might come from national standards that are put out by a professional organization. But the idea is the person who's reading your SLO template should be able to say, okay, here's where they pulled those standards and contents and why it is that these are the most important ones. So that's the core knowledge and skills. And you see those 3 bullet points that are important in the rubric to address when you explain to the person reading your assessment what's in it. And then there's a small portion, along with including the assessment, that's going to then describe that assessment. And remember, this will be done in a narrative. You'll want to make sure that you save this SLO template in a place that you can find it so that you can access it and revise it maybe this year, but probably not until the fall of next year. So it's going to explain who created it. The SLO review committee is going to be the people reviewing it. What's the structure of the assessment, how many multiple choice questions, how many short answer. You'll want to explain if there are particular questions that you think might be especially difficult for students. Those would be the questions that require some stretch. And if there are multiple points to the assessment, you'll want to explain how it is that the final grade or the final score is arrived at. So if the multiple choice is worth 20 points and the short answer is worth 6 points, you'll want to explain that. That gets further outlined in the email. You'll want to make sure, though, that there is some narrative that explains the assessment to the people. And then a few things, last minute things to keep in mind. Remember, most of you have already completed a draft of this SLO template and you have your pre and post test. You did that as part of a PLC or with teaching partners from around the district. There are lots of sample SLO work available on the ODE website. There are even some learning modules that you can listen to. You could do that on your own. You could do it with your PLC. Follow the rubric. If it's on the rubric, you want to make sure that you address it in your SLO. Error on the side of giving too much information rather than not enough. And if you need any help or you want me to look at a draft of something that you've completed, feel free to contact me and I'll be glad to look at it. I'll even attend a PLC session if you'd like, and I'll help you any way that I can through this process. Thanks.